Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, today we are going to go deep into why we attract the gumball guy, the bad boy. Why do we keep attracting him over and over? And I have some clients that are like, I don't know if I would even be happy not dating a bad boy. Sometimes we get so used to this type of guy that we don't really know how to date somebody different. So we're going to go deep. I have my notes in front of me, 9 reasons that we date the wrong guy, the gumball guy, and what makes him so attractive over and over again. So first, I want to start with 2 self-care tips. Number 1, if you are trying to get over a guy, I challenge you this week to block him even for a few days. Sometimes blocking him entirely is too dramatic and it seems too final. But what if I told you, okay, today is Monday, so if you block him for today and tomorrow and then you unblock him on Wednesday, whatever unblocking him means, either from social media or from texting you, but what if you just give yourself breaks where, say if you block him on Facebook, you go to look him up and you can type it in, it's like he just, disappeared off the face of the earth. But even when you go to look him up and you know that he's blocked, and then you think, okay, yeah, I blocked him. So now when you think about him again, you can't go look, right? And there's something about that where you're giving yourself space to remove him from your thoughts. Because if you go to look, sometimes it's the exact same pictures that you've looked at before, but it's a pattern we need to work on stopping. So I want to challenge you, just even if it's for one day. I can't remember how long Facebook doesn't allow you to add or block them again after you've added them back or whatever, but whatever you need to do, if it's Instagram, if it's Facebook, and I want you to just allow yourself to have a break from looking, because this is how I work with you too, by the way. I never expect you to make huge changes on day 1 or in first week. When you work with me, we go at your pace because I understand exactly what it takes to help you get over this guy, okay? Self-care tip number 2, let's take this time of year to declutter. I'm literally going to follow my same advice. And this weekend, I'm recording this on a Saturday afternoon. I just came back from my dance class. I do ballroom dancing every single week. Absolutely love it. And so as I was walking back in this crisp fall air, I was thinking, actually, I could have worn a scarf today. It was pretty chilly, 55, but the sun's shining. The leaves have not quite started to change yet. So we were just in that perfect end of summer, beginning of fall, and we can start to wear boots and leggings and jeans. It's so great. And I can take my dogs to the park and they can race around without getting too hot. It's my favorite time of year. I love it. But this time of year, what I want you to do is light a candle, play some music, and start really decluttering your space. Clean out your closet, look at everything. If you can Marie Kondo your whole space, that would be the ideal situation, because this is a great time of year. We're going to spend a lot more time inside. And especially if you're going through a breakup or you're just in a place where you feel like you're in a funk, decluttering your space can make you feel like a new woman. All right, so let's get to the nitty-gritty of this podcast. All right. Why are we dating the wrong guy over and over again? So one girl told me that she has a friend who, she's like, I'm in therapy and I'm dating a heroin addict. Like, what is my problem? So one, I will tell you about the therapy piece. You might just be with the wrong therapist. Some people come to me and they're like, oh, Melissa, you're way better than therapy. We were just talking about that in the Back to You Academy. They're like, this is so much better than therapy. And although I'm flattered by that, I want you to know that this is my specialty within getting over a guy, figuring out why we're attracted to him, and getting our life back on track. But therapy is actually where you work on the foundational stuff from when you were a child, like all the stuff that happened to us in our childhood. Childhood is affecting our relationships today. And so therapists can really work with you on that stuff. So if you work with me and a therapist, I think that's ideal. Or if you've been with a therapist for a while, you might just be with the wrong one. Sometimes it's just like a lawyer, right? There's good lawyers and bad lawyers. There's good doctors and bad doctors. Some people are just not a fit for you, or they're afraid to challenge their patients. I mean, you can have a whole gamut of situations, or maybe you are really not with a psychotherapist where they can actually go deep. You might just be with a counselor that's going to just be more of a sounding board for you. So when you're looking for therapists, make sure that you are able to get what you need from them. Say, hey, look, I actually asked the therapist I ended up staying with for years, what do you do? And he said, well, within 17 sessions, I can help you really get to the bottom of it. And you're going to have huge clarity in 17 sessions. So maybe that sounds like a lot. It didn't sound like very many sessions to me. And I did way more than that because I started getting answers about things completely unrelated to romantic relationships. So if you're going to therapy and you're not getting what you need, or you keep dating the wrong guy over and over again, I want you to look at who your therapist is and really ask yourself, is this the person that challenges me? I walked out kind of pissed off at my therapist at some points because he would get me in an area where it was like, ooh, you poked me there. That hurts. I don't like that feeling. And I would get annoyed with him. But then over a period of a few days until our next session, it would work on me and I would think through things and I would journal about it. And then I was like, oh, I'd have so many aha moments. You should be having a lot of aha moments with your therapist. If you're not, then I would definitely move on to somebody else. Okay. Number 2, father relationships. So obviously this is nothing new where it's like, do we have daddy issues? Or are we interacting with other men that are gumball guys, that are rude, that are, maybe it's even a coworker that you have to work with. And so I was talking to another client the other day and I said, she has a new job. I said, just look at your coworkers and identify the gumball guys. And he said, the gumball guy might be the funny guy. It's often the person that asks a lot of questions in the beginning because they like to know if you're a threat. And so they're really nice at first, but they're a big talker and they're, sometimes the biggest personality. Sometimes they're the quiet personality that you don't expect, but usually you can start to identify the attention-seeking behavior. So I want you to just look at the relationships around you and the ones that are, the biggest role can be your father. So a lot of us have some of us have completely absent fathers where we never knew a father relationship at all. And we don't even know what that's supposed to look like. Some of us grew up with fathers that were they were there, but they weren't there. Or they were abusive verbally, physically, and emotionally. And if you still have your father in your life, this is something that we as girls always try to, we always want that. It's like, damn Hollywood for all of these ideal storybook images of father and daughter. Or we go to someone's wedding and we assume that they had this father-daughter dance and it looked all glorious of him walking her down the aisle. And we kind of feel like, oh man, why can't I have had that relationship? It's important that we really look at this. And this is an area where, again, if you have any complicated dynamics with your father, this is a huge area that you spend time in therapy. I can help you in this area to a certain extent, but this is where I really have huge respect for therapists and where they can do some of that deeper work and getting to the bottom of how you perceived love from a man. And if you have a gumball guy father, this is a lot of times when we have gumball guy fathers, we end up dating gumball guys. And the reason we're doing it is, this is in point number 3. So point number 2 is, or point number 1, just to kind of quickly review, really look at your therapist. So that's point number 1, really look at your therapist and ask yourself, is this the right person I should be talking to? Is this the person qualified for the things that I really want to accomplish in these sessions? And while I'm saying that, don't be intimidated by the therapist. Like they're sitting there like some all-knowing person. They're not. I want you to treat them. This is how I treat doctors too, like any kind of doctor. Okay, what's the end result here? What do you do? What is your specialty? Really get specific. You're going to spend thousands of dollars with this person if they're the right person. So you've got to get clear on what you want. So number 2, who are the relationships around you that are meant? Like even your boss. Sometimes we can have different relationships with bosses where, it's like, yes, they're your boss, but because we've been in abusive or controlling or verbally kind of domineering, I don't want to say verbally domineering, but you've been around a domineering man. You've been around somebody who's verbally abusive. We become used to this, right? We become where this is normal. So if you grew up with gumball guys around you, I grew up with gumball guys all around me. So I developed, as my therapist says, a skill set to deal with these kinds of men. If you coach with me and you're telling me stories, I'll get this look on my face. And then it's like, I have every comeback. And sometimes it's just like, I have to word vomit everything I want to say. It's like, oh, well, tell him da 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 da. Like, I know exactly how to talk to the gumball guy. I know exactly what comeback will make him feel bad about himself. However, sometimes it does feel really good to just let it out. But my therapist would tell me, if you're using that skill set, then you are around or you're dating the wrong guy, because you shouldn't have to basically get yourself all worked up if you're around healthy people. So the moment you feel that they've gotten under your skin, where you feel hurt, where you feel agitated, that's your signal. You may not know all the signs of the gumball guy, and this may be all brand new to you. But if somebody's getting under your skin and you feel that feeling like you need to fight, that means this is somebody who is attention seeking. They're trying to provoke a response from you. And so, yes, it's father relationships, but it's also a lot of the other men in your life that can be contributors to this, where we continue to allow this kind of behavior. So maybe you have a really abusive boss, and I'm going to tell you, you need a different job. And that's like, Melissa, oh my God, I got to change jobs. But eventually, yeah, I mean, I know you can't do it overnight, but we cannot allow ourselves to be around or constantly being communicated to by these types of personalities. I've told the story a million times about my dentist. I had a huge gumball dentist, and I abruptly left his office and went and found a dentist that takes amazing care of me, because I won't have a gumball CPA, gumball dentist. I just had to go get my upper endoscopy. Another really nice man sat there, took the time with me, and talked to me like I'm an equal. Don't talk like, when they start talking down to you, you have to become aware of who's talking down to you and why do they think they get to do that. Now, we don't change their behavior. You don't go about it like, hey, you're talking down to me. Instead, we observe these relationships and say, okay, I'm allowing this guy to be a total jerk. Why am I doing this? Or if you have a neighbor or just, somebody, these people, they're at the coffee shop that you go to. They're They're the person that sits at the front desk at your building, or sometimes it's just random people. And then you're like, why am I talking to this person? I've been standing here for 15 minutes talking to somebody who irritates me, who asks too many questions, who asks like condescending, sort of like, so, I mean, are you still doing blah, blah, blah? And then you feel like you have to stand there and explain yourself to someone you don't go to dinner with, never calls you or texts you. It's like, these are the kinds of things that we do as girls who have dated gumball guys because our boundaries are low. And these are all the areas that we need to tighten. Now, this might sound like, Melissa, I thought you were going to tell me, why am I dating a gumball guy over and over again? This is why. It's all these other areas. We focus just on the guy himself, but we forget about the rest of our lives. And so we don't look at all these other areas. If you have a gumball guy father, are you talking to him too much? Are you trying to fulfill the perfect father-daughter fantasy and consistently going back to the same dad who's disappointed you over and over and over again? This is an area where we have to be really careful that we are not setting a high expectation with our fathers, that we can consistently get our heart broken over and over again. This was a hard lesson that I had to learn. And in therapy, it was a tough realization that, and I don't share this very often because I will tell you, I have worked really hard with my own father to have a really good relationship, the best relationship that I can have. And I spent a lot of time, especially my teenage years, my early 20s, 30s, trying to have a version or a relationship that really was impossible for us to have. And so I had to adjust my expectation and understand that I wasn't going to get what I thought or dreamed, that wasn't within his capacity to offer. And so, but I believe, and the reason I don't speak about this publicly is because I am a Christian and I believe in honoring my mother and father. And so I don't feel it necessary to go into the gory details because I'm on the other side of it. And I don't think anyone has a perfect relationship with their parents. We still struggle with that on a daily basis. I mean, everyone gets on our nerves, right? We all have areas where this is a struggle. And so what I had to do and what I encourage you to do is limit discussions that with anyone, right? Where they don't really hear you. They don't really understand where you're coming from. The conversation isn't really productive. And sometimes we just want it to be with our parents. We want our parents to just get it. Like, come on, I want to be able to talk to you about this. Why can't I talk to you about this? That was something I had to let go of. And it's not just like, hey, okay, today I'm letting go of it. Sometimes I still catch myself like, okay, this is that area where it's not dad's best, it's not he's not my best resource, as my friend Shannon would say. She'd always say that, like, I'm not your best resource for this. But, it's like, I can't expect him to be everything. I can't expect him to be my best friend and be able to tell him about the guys that I've dated and like get the best fatherly advice, like all of those things. I couldn't expect him to have all of that. And so I had to, in some aspects, mourn the loss of what I thought was going to be there and accept what he did have to offer. And, it's amazing. Like you can have a really good relationship, but you have to kind of look at it as this is the box that I can have. This is what fits within that box with that person. And I can't have these other things. I'd love to put those things in the box, but they just aren't going to work. And it's going to make me feel sad every single time. I was working with a teenager one time whose father, she was so disappointed because he didn't come to her cheerleading events. And when I watched her father come, the events that he did attend, and I was a cheerleading coach for a few years before I moved to New York, and she would be devastated when her dad wouldn't come, and she just thought he didn't care. And I told her, I observed, and her parents had divorced. And when I would watch the dad come, he was so uncomfortable in his own skin. he would look over at his ex-wife and her new husband, and they were very happy. She had found a great guy, and he felt like he was a very insecure man. And so he wasn't showing up because it was a very big obstacle for him to get over. And he would sit off in a corner. He would look at his phone. She'd be cheering and she'd look up and he'd be looking at his phone because it was so hard for him to be present because he was so insecure. And so I was able to tell her that, like, you feel like he's rejecting you, like he doesn't care, he doesn't want to be there, but it's actually really difficult for him to be in this environment because it's so uncomfortable and it makes him feel just like a loser. He feels like a loser here. And then when she saw that, she was like, oh, yeah. And I said, yeah, so you're looking at it like he's rejecting me. He's not rejecting you. The effort of him trying to be here is pretty big. But when he gets here, he doesn't even know what to do with himself. So he's not rejecting you. It's just his own insecurity. This is what you discover in therapy. When you have a really good therapist, you can see people differently and you can adjust your expectation. It still is not fun. It sucks. Sometimes you're like, I really wish this could be a different relationship. But sometimes when we go to mom or dad for that relationship advice, we end up getting things like, you're fat. Like so many parents are fat shamers. My parents are fat shamers. Sorry, mom and dad, but their parents were fat shamers. Like, and then we became like a fat shaming family. Like everything was about our weight and our gut and this or that. And so we just became obsessed with always being this perfect, ideal body shape. And I know so many of us have this problem. Like we go see our parents, are like, oh, you're a little bit overweight. Or my grandpa that just passed away, I didn't go see him a lot because he was a fat shamer. He would tell, I just found out, I just told Dana, or my podcast editor, he told everyone that they were fat, but it didn't matter. Like anybody that was hearing it, it was like, I don't want to hear that I'm fat. Even, everyone feels like they're not in their ideal place. And so sometimes the reason I'm telling you this is because we have to be careful. It's like, I didn't go see that grandpa a few years, 2 or 3 years before he died. I did not go see him because it was too damaging for me to interact with him. And I would always walk away feeling really low. And so I looked at my whole childhood and I thought, I've had great memories with grandpa and I have so many fun things. But now I live in New York. And when I come back, I have 50 plus family members and I have to choose the ones that I have the most connection with. And I have to invest in the people that are the most important. And so it's like, it sounds weird to be like, sorry, grandpa, you didn't make the list, but that's the reality. And I hate saying this publicly because, people that know me listen to this and they're going to be like, wow, she didn't go see her grandpa, like real good. But I don't care anymore because I know that I cannot be around people that will destroy me on the inside, that will make me feel bad. And sometimes it's the family that's really breaking us down. It's really making us feel like crap. And so we cannot consistently text message these people, call these people. And I know it's hard when it's family, it's people we're close to. It's something that we always have to keep in check. It's like cleaning out our closets. It's like, decluttering our space, like we talked about earlier. It's something we have to always continue to evaluate. And sometimes those relationships can creep back in and we're like, oh my gosh, I've been talking to this person again. And this is a relationship that cannot be allowed to have prime real estate in your life. You allow these people in your life. This is probably the most important thing. Why are we attracting the wrong guy over and over again? Because we are entertaining, texting, calling, spending time with people that are gumball people, that are chipping away at your self-esteem, making rude comments, giving unsolicited advice. And we have to work to back this off, okay? We work a lot. I can work with you a lot on this in the Back to You Academy, which, by the way, starts this week. You can join today, or if you're listening to this on a Monday or even Tuesday, I actually made the Academy 2 nights now, Monday night and Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. So when you join, really quick, just a Back to You Academy commercial here, you get access to all of the modules. So imagine being able to relax and learn all of this stuff in all this content that I built, the entire concept, all the 10 core principles of why we date the gumball guy. Who is he? Why does this happen? Why do I fall for him? How do I get over him? What happens when I'm trying to get over him? What happens during the breakup process that brings me back to him? And how do I finally move on from that, get into a life that I actually love? How do I just wrote down a quote earlier, get over him and get on with your life, and be able to finally chase your dreams and live a life you're actually passionate about, a life that you feel alive in. This is the goal, and this is the whole process in the academy. So we're growing now, and I've noticed that in the past couple of weeks, we don't really have enough time within 90 minutes to allow everyone to talk. And everyone, when you first join, you're like, really, do I want to be in group coaching? And then it's so fun. Everyone kind of like comes out of their shell, and then they're super chatty in like week 2 or week 3, because they get it. They're like, okay, this is awesome. I love hearing all these women's stories, and you learn so much from each other. So I give you all of my content and the audios that you get access to. You'll get your login and your password, so you can start at your own pace. It's like a self-study, self-guided course where you log in, you have access to all of it. Plus you get the weekly coaching calls, plus you get a one-on-one with me. And if you want more one-on-ones, you get a discounted rate for that. So lots of stuff in the academy, but this is the stuff we go over where I can really assess you and customize. So it's a customized plan for you. You come in and I don't just throw you in a group. I'm going to get to know you specifically and what you need, so that when you're at your 30-day mark, you're like, okay. And then if you want to stay after 30 days, which most people do stay, you can become a monthly member, and we can talk about that. So anyway, back to the reasons that we're dating the wrong guy over and over again. So along with fathers, fajas, as Austin Powers would say, we attract what we know. We attract what I love how Mark Groves from Create the Love says, we learned how to survive. If you've had a gumball guy, father, uncles, brothers, or maybe you had great father, but you had a really big gumball guy first boyfriend. You learned how to survive it. You know it. You are comfortable with a gumball guy. I could tell you, I look back and I would meet a gumball guy and think, yeah, totally. Because I was so comfortable with them. I knew exactly how they operated. It was easy for me to get along with a gumball guy because I know and understand how to communicate with them. Now I can see myself communicating with them using the skill set, which when I get around a gumball guy, it'll like make me feel like I need to be more, what I used to think was witty banter was actually me fighting, but I thought it was banter. So the witty banter, I thought, where we were being sarcastic, that was actually him being rude, but me thinking I could have all these cute responses. So I know as soon as I feel that edge coming up on myself, I'm around a gumball guy. And I learned how to survive this all of my life with all of my uncles that were around, and, just also different people. Like I can even think back to guys I was in high school with that were huge gumball guys, but they were really popular. And so I was using that skill set a lot, and I didn't understand the difference. So this is what I'm here to do, is help you understand the difference. All right. Why do we attract these guys? We don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. And we've really never taken the time to do it, or to explore, who the heck am I? What do I even like? What do I love to do? Where do I want to travel? We don't stop and just, we're working so hard to do what? What are we working hard to do? This is where I thought before I came to New York, I was thinking, if I don't get to New York and I don't do what I'm doing now, but what I'm doing now was a dream before, to move to New York, to launch Gumball Love, to coach women, to run online academies. This was the huge, big picture goal dream to me. But I started thinking, what do I really want? What do I want to do? Where do I want to be? And I was sitting in a 2-bedroom condo in Omaha, Nebraska. living a good life. Wasn't a bad life at all. Had a nice condo and a beautiful neighborhood, and life was good. I had my Jeep, and I would go and take my dogs, and we'd take the top off the Jeep, and I'd go to Starbucks, and then I'd go to this little juice place. I'd get my juice and my coffee. I'd come back. I was working from home, had a great job, but that's not where I wanted to be. What was I doing? I was Google mapping New York City, going down the streets on Google Map, looking at New York because I just wanted to be here. So finally, I decided to move here. And that's a long story. I'm not going to go into that. But knowing who we are, what we want to do, what we want to explore. And I'll give you a hint. One of the first things I ask you guys to do in the Back to You Academy is create a Pinterest page of your personal brand. And if you do the Academy, I'll tell you all the specifics. But if you want to just start one before you join, just start a Pinterest board of all the things you love. Think about all the things you love. Animals you love, your favorite colors, the kind of design of home you like, furniture. It's kind of like a dream board, but it's more than that. It's not necessarily the dream house, although you can put that as part of it. But I want you to just start noticing your style, your preferences when it comes to foods. I want you to even think about like the flavors you enjoy. You know, about a little over, actually it's been almost 2 years ago, I've hired a personal chef so I can have my food prepped for me every single week. And I had to get really specific about even the kinds of food that I like. And I'm pretty picky, I've realized, and some chefs think, or my last one used to think I was super boring. I don't know what Natanya thinks now, but maybe I am pretty boring. But you know what? Boring is kind of what I like. I like simple foods, but I like really specific flavors. And before, I just didn't really think about it that much. And I'm not saying that any one of these things are monumental, but sometimes we just go through life and we eat whatever the other people are eating because we've never really said, yeah, I don't actually like that. But have you ever eaten something you don't really like and then you feel afraid to say you don't like it? Have you ever gone and eaten sushi at a place because the guy you're dating loves sushi so much you just eat it because you don't want to? He's like, I mean, some of these people are like, oh, I can't date somebody if they don't like sushi. It's like, then I don't want to date somebody who can't date somebody who doesn't like sushi. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, that's just such a ridiculous thing. So if you're looking at a hot guy and he's like, because I'm a person who cannot eat sushi, but I actually did try it once with this guy I was dating in Chicago years and years ago. And I had never really tried it. So I tried it once and I was like, I am never doing that again. I realized that you love it, but I do not love it raw. I don't like to eat cooked fish, let alone raw. So it's just not something I want to do. But I want you to just ask yourself, do you really know who you are? Because if we don't know who we are, we don't know what we like, and we don't know what kind of men we like. We don't, and it doesn't even mean that we have to start creating this type of man that we like. But when we know who we are, then we know what's not going to work with us, if that makes sense. Like the more I've gotten closer to God and stronger in my faith, I realize now that I have to have a man who has faith in God. I cannot date somebody who does not believe in God. So, but I used to be open, and now I am not, because I know myself better than I have ever known myself before. And I'm still growing. I have not arrived at any destination. But I know that now is so important and key for me to live a long life with someone that is probably the most important thing, that if he's like, I don't believe in God, I'm not going to be able to date him. And that's unfortunate, but it's just a standard that I have put in place, probably within the last year or so, because every time I've realized it's a hindrance that I underestimated in the past. I wish I could go back and be more picky. I wasn't picky enough, and I didn't know who I was. So I dated all these guys that I don't want to say they were a waste of time, but they kind of were a waste of time. Not that they weren't good people, but I just it never would have worked. But I didn't know that back then. So that's why I'm here, to help you save this time to really look at, and this is, guess what? Random self-care tip. This, if we want to talk about self-care, which I feel like has gotten so generic, this is the self-care where we go, wow, I have to move on from this person because they are not the person that I want to spend life with. This is not a long-term fit. And I can hang out with them for a few more days or weeks, but I cannot be with this person long-term. So I have to let this go. And that is hard because sometimes they're not bad people, but it's just, this is not somebody I can marry. Those are the hard decisions that we have to make to take care of ourselves. And so self-care can be painful sometimes, but in the long run, it's the right choice. All right. To go along with that, point number 5, we don't know what we have to offer. When we don't know who we are, we don't know what we have. We underestimate because gumball guys they're not relationship people. They're attention people. They're usually not very good with family. They're good at taking from family. They might say, I love my mom and I love my grandma, whatever, but then you realize they're mama boys and mom just does whatever he wants her to do. He doesn't really have a relationship with her. He may do things for her, but the bond is really self-serving. And so when you look at all of those things, it's like when you've been in a relationship with a guy that really undervalues bonds, relationships, friendships, he's not really there for his friends. His quote unquote buddies are drinking buddies, but they're not really friends. He's not really showing up for people in his life and just doing it because a friend needs a friend. They don't operate that way. So all of the things that you have to offer have been overlooked by gumball guys. They don't even see the things that you give as valuable unless it benefits them in that moment. But even when it benefits them in the moment, they still are aware that what you're giving is so high value. The person, let's say, I'm a person that can date a man with children. I love children. And so even if I really found a guy attractive and we connected and he was like, I have 4 kids, it's something I would consider because I have huge bandwidth when it comes to kids. I can handle the crying, the drama, the bad behavior, the messy stuff. I don't know. It's weird. I haven't had children, but all the kids I've been around, I've babysat kids. My cousins have so many children, and I don't know. I love a whole classroom full of kids. When I volunteered, there's just something about that. So that is something for not, obviously a guy that's single isn't going to need that, but I'm just saying that's a huge value that I bring. So there's some guy that's divorced and has 3 or 4 kids and he's like, I'm never going to be able to find somebody that would even accept these children. But I am that girl. So that's a lot to offer, right? Because I am willing and able to love someone else's children. And I've had people with children, they're like, that's a gift. That's one of my things, right? That's something I bring to the table. That's a huge value. However, when the person I dated that had children, he did not see that at all. I still have contact with those kids, and because I made friends with their mom. And because she recognized the bond that I had with their children, which was crazy. After we broke up, she reached out to me and said, can you get together with the kids? And I was like, what are you even saying? I just thought she would think, oh, I'm not going to have my kids be around my ex-husband's ex-girlfriend. And so we got together and I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe you're doing this. And she was like, well, my kids love you and they miss you. So I want them to be able to see you. And I was like, right then I knew how cool she was, because how selfless to let your children be around some other chick. But, we had dated for 2 years and the bond that I had with the kids was so incredible. But see, she saw the value and she saw the investment that I was making in her children, and she wasn't even around to see it. She could just see the after effects because she knew, based on what the kids were saying about their interaction with me, that I loved them. she knew that I was taking care of them like she would take care of them. And so that's big, right? Like I know that makes me extreme. That's a huge value that I bring to the table, but it's just something I do because it's who I am. That is who I am. And so he could not see that. And so I always felt like I was doing it wrong because he would criticize even anything I did with the kids. But here was the ex-wife, the mom, who was and she said to me, you taught me what it should look like when my ex-husband is dating someone. And it was the highest compliment I ever saw. I'm telling you this because when we are trying with Gumball Guys, they won't ever acknowledge what the value that you actually bring. And so you will doubt your value because it's not being acknowledged. And this is why I go back to the previous point that we cannot be around people that don't acknowledge our value on a consistent basis, because then we don't see it ourselves and we don't understand what we bring to the table. And so we're on dates with guys trying to prove ourselves. If you're trying to prove yourself to a man that you're on a date with, you're with the wrong guy. Because when someone values themselves, then they can see value. When they have respect for themselves, they can see another person that also respects themselves. So if you're feeling like you have to prove yourself, you're putting in too much effort, because your value, like if I were sitting across from you, any woman I coach, I have not met one woman that has signed up for any coaching or joined the academy that I don't think is so valuable and so beautiful. And I just find so much joy helping you get over somebody that can't see how beautiful you really are and how much you bring to the table, and that you don't have to be perfect. You can be, everybody's a little messy, right? But the Gumball Guy it makes you think that you can't be messy, that you can't have anything wrong with you, that you have to be so perfect. And so you're always wrong in his eyes, and you're always striving to be how he saw you in the beginning, which is another podcast. But he always was so great in the beginning, and then when it deteriorates, we find ourselves proving, and working. And what we're doing is working for love instead of receiving it openly without effort. You should not be working to get the love. Yes, you have to work at a relationship, but you should not be working to get love. All right. So many podcasts I could do within this. All right. So, we don't know who we are. I just have in my notes, we don't know how to be proud of who we are. Like, yeah, I have this, I have that. Like, this is what I bring to the table. Like, you could say, I have a job. I have good credit. I have, I know how, I'll just use myself. Like, I have great credit. I have a really good job. My passion, I don't even want to call it my side hustle. My other job is helping women. And I pay all my bills on time. I have 2 beautiful dogs that I take immaculate care of. I keep a clean home. I'm very organized. I'm fun. I'm spontaneous. Like, I know all these things about myself now, and that I can take on a lot, that I have a huge bandwidth for emotional stuff. Like, you can come to me, and if you've been abused as a child, sexually abused, and you need to tell me the ugly, dirty details because you just need to get off your chest, I have the ability to handle that. And it doesn't affect me later. I'm not like disturbed, or it doesn't wreck my day. It's like, I'm built to handle that kind of stuff because it inspires me to help other women. It's like, I hate hearing that it happened to you, but I hate worse that you're hiding it and feeling shameful about it. And so it gives me a sense of joy to be the person that you can unload that. I can take it because I'm built to take it. I have a strong root system. My branches are sturdy. You can come put a lot of stuff on here, and God made me to do this. So do you see how I know my value? I'm rooted. I'm strong. And that's how I know my value. But man, I did not know these things before. I didn't know to point to these things. I didn't understand that that's what made me so valuable. And so I want you to know this. The fact that you have hung on with your Gumball Guy, you have stayed with him even when he cheated on you. Do you know how, like, what that says about you? It's like, you're a ride or die. You will stick to it. You will do the freaking work. And all we need to do is tweak that parts of you that go, okay, I know you feel like you need a ride or die at this point, but this is not what you ride or die through. You don't ride through a guy that's cheating on you all the time or not talking to you or treating you like crap. Like, this is the one you let go, and that is okay. A lot of times we're so committed that we don't know when we can just let it go. And we don't know when we can let it go because we've spent years surviving abusive types of men or parents or bad relationships. This pattern can be broken. You are not broken. You are not hopeless. There is a way out. It's not, I don't want to say it's easy, but there is a way. And so I want to give you hope that if you give yourself a chance to go through this and learn this and then change your life, I'm telling you, you will look at the world so differently. You will look at these men, you will look at your past relationships, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I never even realized. I mean, I look at the guys now that were gumball guys, and even when I first moved here, I still had like anger toward them. I have no anger toward them, like zero, because it's almost like they've become kids in my head because it's so immature. Now I look back at all the dynamics, and it was so immature. And so these weren't men. I wasn't dating men. I was dating boys who hadn't grown up, boys that had abandonment issues, boys that had, they were all attention seeking. Right. And so the relationship wasn't even it was like a knockoff version, and it had beautiful pieces and segments. It had great moments, and I can look at them and see who they were trying to be, all blah, blah, blah. But I no longer feel like, oh my gosh, I'm this huge failure, because I understand now. I understand the pattern I was in. I understand who I was attracting, and I understand that I didn't see my value and that I had spent too much time around toxic people. I didn't know how to get those toxic people out of my life. And it's a process. So this is why I've created the Academy, because as I'm coaching, I'm like, I need to work with you longer. I need to spend time with you, and I need to get you in a group so you can see you're not by yourself. You guys, this group of women is just awesome. Like, everyone that comes in that's new, it's just like everyone fits because we all get each other. And I can't tell you how many times I'm looking at different women as we're on video screens, and they're just smiling because they're like, oh my gosh, I felt so by myself through all of this. And then you have such camaraderie when you see other women. And so when you come into the Academy, you might feel like, I don't know, group coaching, like, what does that even mean? You can just observe for the first week or two, but I guarantee you're going to be like, oh, okay, like, it's not intimidating at all. It's just like, most of the time everyone shows up, no makeup, like people are, in their kitchens, putting their kids to bed. Sometimes like you put yourself on mute. Sometimes you can only listen. Some people are listening from the train or the bus when they're commuting, and they can only just hear it. Then the next time they come on and they're speaking, like, this is meant to fit into your life however it can fit in, because it's not like, oh my gosh, we're doing this perfectly structured course. No, this is messy. This is like a process that has to be customized for you. So you might be trying to get over a guy. You might be going through a divorce. You might be living with a guy you don't really know, like, should I leave or not? And you just need to talk about it without pressure, right? Like, don't tell me to break up with him. Don't tell me to move out. Like, I just need to talk about it without being shamed and be able to make decisions at my own pace. And that's exactly what we do. So, as I do this podcast, I'm so happy I created the Academy, because it was a step out of my comfort zone to create the Academy. I was like, is anyone going to sign up? Is anyone going to do this? And they did it. So it's awesome. All right. So let's get on to the last tips. All right. Why are we attracting the wrong guys over and over again? Because we're looking for men all the time. This is tip number 6. We are always looking. We feel like everywhere we go, it's about finding a guy. And there's so much pressure. Like, oh, we get invited to a wedding. Is there going to be a guy there? Or we think we should have a date, or we get invited to anything, right? You go to something and you're looking. You go to Starbucks and you're looking. You go out to meet your friends for drinks and you're looking. And maybe I'll meet somebody. Stop saying maybe I'll meet somebody, because you need to be living your life. I want to get you in the present moment where you can be so excited about what you do every day and how you live your life that you're no longer looking. I feel like all of us that have all these dating apps, it's just this, it becomes an obsession. It becomes an unhealthy fixation, and it breeds desperation. And that desperation will then make us lower our standard, because there's always going to be a guy that will date you. There's always going to be somebody on the app that's texting you low volume, low vibe. Hey, what's up? And so again, it's just like when we're talking to people that we shouldn't be talking to, or entertaining relationships we shouldn't be entertaining. This is what happens when we are always looking. Then we start to get fatigued. And when we get fatigued, we make bad choices. We make choices that are beneath our standards, or we forget what our standards even are. If you stay in online dating for too long, I really think we all need breaks from it if you're going to do it, because it sort of becomes like this weird world that you get used to bizarre messages and non-human like responses. And it's just, I think we have to be really careful that we don't get accustomed to the virtual world so much so that we forget what it's supposed to look like in real life. The person you marry is the person you will be able to talk to with the most ease that you've ever been able to talk to anyone before in your life. You will connect to your husband like you've never connected to anyone. And it's going to be so simple and flow so simply that if you're getting anything less than that, it's not the right guy. So that gets me to the next tip, which is number 7. We allow the forever texting, the guy that's not setting up a date. We're going on bad dates and we're setting up more dates with a guy that took us on a bad date. We're dealing with guys that are rude. We're dealing with guys that aren't committing. We're accepting this behavior. We are allowing these guys to text us for weeks and never ask us out on dates. We're allowing this. And the more we allow it, the more we're going to allow it. And this is where we have to set up a boundary. And this isn't something you announce to the guys on Match.com. You don't put this in your profile. You see what guy sends normal messages, sets up a date and time, and follows through. It's that simple. This is not a difficult thing, you guys. So we have to stop talking to the guy. Right now, I'm going to tell you, inside the private Facebook group. So if you're not in the private Facebook group, go to my Gumball Love Facebook business page. So it's Melissa Ledger Gumball Love, or it's facebook.com/Coach Melissa Ledger. At the very top, you can join our private Facebook group. Inside that group, we have a girl that said, hey, this guy told me that he texts me every day, but it's going to be like pulling teeth. This is what he told her. It's going to be like pulling teeth to get her, to get him to talk on the phone or meet in person. Okay. So I might be a little heated in my response, but that just pisses me off. It's going to be like pulling teeth to get you to date me like a human being. No. And so my message to her is, baby girl, this is not your job to get a guy to, I'm sorry, I have to pull teeth to get you to go out with me or call me on the phone. Dude, you're not ready. And then all these girls, I'm sorry if you're in the group, but they're like, well, what if he's this or that? I mean, I've dated a guy that's shy and, we have to be, no. We're not going to make excuses for a guy that texts a beautiful woman that is offering wonderful conversation, and then he's going to have the audacity to tell her that it's going to be like pulling teeth to get him to meet in person or take her on a date, that you're going to have to work to get me to date you. No, this is where we have to close the door. We cannot pity the guy that's being an a-hole. And that's a rude thing to say to somebody. I just always reverse it. What if I said to a guy, well, it's going to be like pulling teeth to get me to talk on the phone with you or go out with you? Can you imagine saying that to a guy? That's so mean. Like, so he's supposed to sit there and like work really hard? Like, what is he going to do? Well, hey, is he supposed to beg me? Is he supposed to keep texting me? Is he supposed to sit there and hope that one day I'll decide to meet him in person? It's like, I'm sorry, there's no celebrity on earth that could even justify treating somebody like that. We cannot be waiting around. But you see, people that love themselves and respect themselves will respect other people. So in that message, it's a complete disrespect to her. It's going to be like pulling teeth to get me to text you or to call you or meet you. No, unacceptable. I don't care who you are. And if this person is like really shy or really damaged, then I can have compassion for that because I understand there are people that have been through a lot of things. But I'm telling you, as women that have dated gumball guys, the last thing we need is somebody who is paralyzed by social awkwardness. Because I will tell you, I dated this guy. And I'm sorry, I dated a guy that had that problem. He was extremely socially awkward and he had body dysmorphic disorder and there was just all these things. And so my personality, I'm a nurturer, I'm a giver, I'm a caregiver. And so that person just like, I can't stand it. I'm going to make you comfortable. I'm going to make sure that you are taken care of. But I'm telling you, if somebody, like, it's one thing to be that way, but it's another thing to be that way and not appreciate someone else that's putting in the effort. So the way you can approach that, like the way it should sound is, I really battle with social anxiety. And so I want to be able to be present for you. So this is a little bit challenging for me, but I would really like to meet you. I really think that you're awesome. And I'm working to get over my social awkwardness. But when it's presented as a challenge that you're supposed to overcome, that is BS. Okay. And I get so heated and I also get so frustrated with girls that are justifying this behavior because then we become like mommy. We're okay, you're having a hard time texting or calling and getting together, so I'm going to get out all my mommy tools and really help you cross this bridge. No, unacceptable. You are looking for an alpha dog because you're looking for an alpha male because you are an alpha female. We are all alphas. We need equals. Maybe some of us are different versions of alphas, but you need your equal, not somebody that you have to coddle and treat like a baby. All right. So this might sound insensitive. And if it does, you're on the wrong podcast. I'm not going to change my view, not going to coddle them. This is the way it is because coddling them means that we put ourselves second and we cannot be doing that before we've even met the dude. You know what I'm saying? A self-respecting man does not say this to women. All right. I'm off my soapbox. All right. So that is point number 6. Point number 7. We are allowing this to happen. Therefore, we are continuing this bad behavior, which is going to then keep teaching us what is okay. It's like bringing those French fries regularly in our diet. Number 8, you are not over your ex. The relationship you settled for is too recent. And so you're out there dating and you're a wounded duck. You are walking with a limp and you think you look great. You put your lashes on and you did your Kim Kardashian smoky eye and you think you're looking good, but a healthy person can see your insecurity a mile away. Do you know that I can see this in women so easily and I never could see it before because I was too insecure. The more secure I get, the more I'm able to see insecure women. It's like a beacon. You stand out like a strobe light. You cannot hide insecurity. There is no script. There is no way to mask it. You will be so obvious when you're comfortable in your own skin. It's the more comfortable I've got in my own skin, the more uncomfortable I am around insecure people. It's like, I can't even stand it because it's so awkward for me. But before I used to be so insecure that I didn't realize that they were insecure. So I was interpreting the behavior as rejection or their awkwardness was making me think it was me doing something. So then I would like try to help them feel more comfortable. And the whole time I would be doubting myself. now I see, oh, they're really uncomfortable. So I may choose to make them feel comfortable or try to, soften the situation depending on, what it is, if it's work related or whatever, but I'm not questioning myself anymore. And so that is huge. So if you are not over someone, you have not done the work to get over that relationship, then you're a wounded duck and you're still processing the insecurities. You're sad. You're still looking at his Instagram. You haven't blocked him yet. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we're attracting the wrong guy. I can tell you this is probably the number one reason we're attracting the wrong guy is because most of my girls, maybe you're not over him yet. And you're out there trying to find a guy to help you get over the other one. Do you want to be the guy? Do you want to be the girl that a guy dates to help him get over the last girl? Do you want him to be thinking about her, trying to focus on you? Super fun, right? We don't want that. So we can't do that to the next guy. So this is part of, I'm going to respect myself enough to give myself the time to heal. And when your ex texts you, you have to be strong enough to resist it. You have to say no. It's so hard. But when you do it, that's when you gain that strength. And that's where the confidence comes from blocking. Confidence comes from telling the ex, no, sorry, buddy, not going to date you. All right. The final tip is you're dating the wrong guy because being with gumball guys has made you addicted to attention. And this is the scariest part we can get to, where we become a gumball girl, where now we are willing to take these breadcrumbs or gumballs from him, any attention he gives us, versus holding out for a real relationship because we no longer see our value anymore. Maybe you'll spend like a few days where you're like, okay, yeah, hashtag self-care, but then also you, I love those, also me, out at the bar again, looking for the next guy because we become addicted to the validation because we get such intense validation from the gumball guy and then it drops off so dramatically that he creates that addiction in us. So now I don't believe that you are really a gumball girl. However, I think this addiction can happen and you really would be satisfied with a long-term real connection, but you have become accustomed to getting gumballs instead of real love. So in the process of dating these guys, we aren't really being loved. We're just being given intermittent attention. And so we become accustomed to only getting attention when they feel like it. We don't even know what it's supposed to look like. And so I shouldn't have said number 9 is we get, I have down here addicted to the attention, but it's almost like I should say number 9 is we become satisfied with minimum. And when we become satisfied with minimum, we will not have a standard high enough to attract anything but gumball guys. So I hope this is helpful. This was a lot of flags. This was much longer than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to go over these really quick. The 9 things. Number 1, therapy. We need to find the right therapist, and we need to make sure we're talking about real stuff versus only talking about him the whole time. Number 2, your father and your male relationships. Are you spending too much time interacting with them? Are you oversharing with these relationships that you really need to back it up? Do you need to draw more boundaries? Number 3, we attract what we want to fix in our father relationships. We attract what we know. So are you surviving and are you attracting what is familiar? Number 4, do you know who you are? Are you proud of who you are? Do you know your value? Have you really considered? And just as a quick tip, I want you to ask your friends and family, what about me brings you value? Can you tell me why I'm valuable? And you can say, I know this is a weird question, but I haven't been valued by so many men in my life that I need to know, like when you see me, what you think is valuable. I feel like I could cry just thinking of you guys asking that. So that must be a really important question. Whenever I get the cry face, I feel like that's God giving me a little wink. Like, yeah, so important for you to know how valuable you are to others. I had one of my clients say she came close to suicide, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she's doing so well. yet she had a really dark moment. And I just thought, man, she just doesn't yet see her value. She's getting there though. She's making like huge strides. Sometimes in our biggest growth moments, we can have like dark dips where it's like, whoa, what was that moment about? And then you can shoot right back out. And then we get all shameful about that dark moment. Sometimes we just can get in a weird space for a second. And so we need to be connecting to what makes us valuable. We need to know what we are, who we are. So number 4 is knowing who you are. Number 5 is knowing what you have to offer. So it's 2 completely different things. Who am I? What do I love? What are my passions? What kind of animals, colors, movies, cars, everything? Who are you? What do you like? What do you want to do? What are you already attracted to? Would you rather be in the ocean or by a forest? Would you rather live in a high rise or out in the country? Do you want to live in both? Do you have can you not pick between those 2? I can't pick between those 2. My ideal is to have a house. Actually, I would love to have a house in the Hamptons that also had access to, I like woods and I like ocean, but my 90% of the time I want to be in the city. Do you know that about yourself? Because I didn't before. So who are you? Number 6, are you always looking for men? Stop looking all the time. Start living. Be present. This is the problem. We're attracting the wrong men because we're constantly looking, which puts us in a mindset of desperation. Gotta find him, gotta find him, gotta find him. I don't have a date. I'm going somewhere. I'm looking. Stop thinking about what guys are going to be somewhere. If you're going to go to a baseball game, don't be like, oh my God, there's going to be cute guys there. Who cares? Go for the baseball game. If you don't like baseball and you're going there for guys, that's too desperate. Stop doing that. That's bad advice, okay? Do not go places just because there's going to be dudes there and you don't even have any interest in the thing that you're seeing, okay? Or if you have to go and you do meet dudes, don't pretend like you're interested in it. Yeah, I actually don't like baseball. I dated a Major League Baseball player. He was just about to be in Major League Baseball. And I told him, I was so proud of myself because I was not secure in myself in the moment. But I said, I don't really like baseball. This guy was drafted to the San Francisco Giants. And I said, is that bad? And he said, you know what? And this is a guy I look back and go, man, he was super valuable and I didn't know my own value. And I think he was trying to date me, but I just I did not know how to date him. I was in my mid-20s and he was so cool. But his life was leading him to Major League Baseball. And I didn't see myself as worthy enough. Kind of forgot about that story. But anyway, I remember sitting there with him, telling him, I don't really like baseball. Is that a problem? And he goes, actually, I'm glad that you don't. I'm like, really? And he goes, I play baseball so much. I'm thinking about it all the time. And I would rather the person I'm dating not be thinking about it at all. And I was like, wow. And I always remembered that because I was authentic to myself in that moment. And then it made me not feel like I had to pretend like I knew all the stuff about baseball. Okay, so number 7, stop allowing guys to text you forever, not take you on dates, be rude, non-committal, take forever to get back to you, dropping off on text conversations. All these situations have to stop, okay? So you are valuable enough for a response. If you don't get a response, you guys, at this point, if I was texting a guy and he was taking forever to get back to me, it would be over. I have no time for that. I'm not interested when you're not interested. You know what I mean? I can easily let that go now, but the old me would have been I wonder why he's not texting, and then excited when he was. It's I don't even care. Now I don't even care what it means because he's disengaged for some reason, and I know it's not me. You know what I'm saying? This is the part where we really have to understand when it's not us. Okay, number 8, the relationship you settled for in the past is too recent. You're not over him. You're still stalking him. You haven't blocked him. You're thinking about him. You're still texting him. You're still hooking up with him. All of that has to be wrapped up. You're going to attract another gumball guy if you keep trying to date while you're not done with the last thing. And number 9, you've settled for minimums. You're addicted to the attention because you're looking for the validation more than you're looking for the connection, which is where the beautiful girl that you used to be is now addicted to attention and not seeing her own value and allowing herself to accept the breadcrumbs instead of really getting true love. If you don't feel like you deserve if you don't feel like you deserve real love, yet you have been the girl that's the ride or die, stick it out, do anything person. This means you have incredible bandwidth, so much to offer. Can you imagine what it would be like if you got the same love that you can give in return? But the thing is, we have to let go of the gumballs he's giving us, or the breadcrumbs, or whatever you want to think of it. Like these little short-term fixes, they're not enough. You need the real deal, and you deserve the real deal. And so I want to inspire you to do whatever it takes for yourself to get you to the point where you know you deserve it. Okay? All right. I'm going to cut it off here because I know my podcasts always run long. I try to make them short. Dana, I love you. My podcast, beautiful podcast editor, but again, I have failed in making a short podcast. So I just get on a roll, and I really feel like as my coach, Rachel Luna, says, I want you to, I need to get off the podcast when I feel like it's complete. And I'm so passionate. And I also, like Gary Vee says, I want to live every day as if, I don't know, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and this could be my last podcast. I want to leave everything out on the table. I don't want to leave this earth without enough tools and resources for you to use so that you become, that you realize the beautiful woman that you are. We're all becoming better every single day, but you're freaking amazing right now. You're freaking amazing. I haven't met one girl. Every girl I coach, I'm just like, she's freaking awesome. And I know all I have to do, my job, is to get you to see who you are and how awesome that you are. And nothing satisfies me more to see that transition. And I'm seeing it over and over and over in the Back to You Academy. And this is like a mastermind. Maybe I need to change it from Back to You Academy to the Back to You Mastermind, where this is where we come together and we do this work in a no pressure, loving space where you can just say what you want to say. You can talk about the same guy over and over again, and you can take the time you need to get through it, because I know you want to. I know you want to live a better life, the life you were meant to live, and I'll do everything I can to get you there. So if you join, it's not cheap, right? It's $497, but for $497, you get a 1 hour with me. You get 4 group coaching calls, plus you get all the content that's inside the academy that teaches you everything from brokenhearted to full bloom, feeling amazing and out there living your best single life, and ultimately finding the love of your life. Like the academy is designed to take you from heartbreak to feeling confident and comfortable in your own skin, where you feel like you're healed and you're ready for the right relationship. That's where my ultimate goal is for this academy. It's what it's designed to do. So I created the content so you always have audios to choose from that can help you in whatever area you need. And you get lifetime access to this. Okay. So, and then if after 30 days, you're like, this is good, I'm good, then fine. But if you're like, hey, I feel like I just got started. People are like, I can't believe 4 weeks just went by. You can become a monthly member and you can just stay with the group and keep going and keep using this as a checkpoint so that you stay on track. And it's such a beautiful process to watch. So if you've been with me this long, then you're meant to do this. So let me know as soon as you get this message, melissa@gumballlove.com. DM me on Instagram, click on the link in the bio on Instagram, or on my website, it says Academy. You can join right there. I hope to see you soon. I can't wait to work with you. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.